Good morning, everybody, and welcome. My name is Lance Janig, and I'm the Interface Analyst with South Dakota Helplink. I'm pleased to welcome you to the 5th informational webinar. Today's webinar will be closed loop referrals. Please note today's webinar is being recorded and will be made available on our website for future reference and for those that have missed this webinar. Next slide. Next slide. Today's agenda will include a short overview of South Dakota Helplink, traditional referrals, electronic referrals with South Dakota Helplink, and value proposition. I am pleased to have Heather Wolken from our Clinical Engagement Services team present this webinar. The rest of our Helplink team is listed below. We encourage you to submit any questions you may have into the chat box. We will capture those and follow up with either directly or create a FAQ document. Before I turn this over to Heather, I wanted to remind attendees of the current funding opportunities we have available. We have funding opportunities to cover South Dakota Helplink interface costs until September 30th of this year, and funding opportunities to cover membership fees until September 20th next year. I'll turn it over to Heather for the rest of the webinar.
Great, thanks, Lance. So as we always do with these webinars, we'll start by giving an overview of all of the services provided to our members at Helplink before we dive into our presentation about referrals. So our mission is to foster the sharing of information through a secure platform, and we achieve this through several different products listed here on this slide. So the first one here is our point of care exchange. This is our platform that houses clinical history from organizations all over the community. This clinical history includes lab results, progress notes, medication histories, and clinical summaries from over 70 hospitals that can be accessed by providers and used to pull back meaningful, quick information when they need it. This tool enables clinicians to spend less time tracking down medical records and more time treating their patients. Notify, the next one on the list, also aims to keep providers engaged with their patients. So this one, this is our clinical event notification tool. This tool takes information that could be searched manually in point of care, and it'll actually automatically notify providers when the information is received. So let's say you're an outpatient clinic wanting to track your congestive heart failure population to make sure they're getting timely follow-up after discharge. Discharge from an inpatient stay that's outside of your organization, for example. This tool will allow you to subscribe to a notification that pings you right away when someone from that heart failure cohort is discharged. That way you can engage with them early and follow up right away. You can also use this notification to go back into point of care and see changes that were made during that inpatient stay. That's a great example of how the tools can be used in conjunction with one another. We also have the ability to electronically support orders and results. And then I'll quickly speak to the last one on the list as well. This summer, we'll have a new product coming out. This is our population health analytics tool. This takes clinical information that's separated by patient in the point of care exchange, and it aggregates it so that you can run quick analytics on that information. So in our heart failure example, maybe you haven't been signed up to receive notifications, but you want to know, from your outpatient clinic, who with a primary diagnosis of CHF had an inpatient admission within the last 6 months, and then maybe hasn't been seen in the clinic since that stay. This tool would allow you to go in there, define that criteria, and then run that report to bring back that list of patients that fits what you defined. So we're really excited to see that coming soon. So I just wanted to call out that we do support multiple interoperability tools, all of which are available to our members. Today, however, we will be talking through our closed loop referrals tool and how that can help organizations stay engaged with patients throughout the entire referrals process. So let's start this conversation about referrals with the reason why we even offer a referrals management tool in the first place. Why do we care about referrals, right? There's two significant trends in healthcare right now motivating a change in traditional workflows. So first, there's a trend towards value-based care, which I'm sure we're all aware of, that's continuing in the U.S. And this trend is, you know, making primary care providers increasingly accountable for the cost and quality that of care that a patient receives, even when it's out of their network. At the same time, though, there's a second motivator, which is a trend towards high deductible plans in the US. And this is motivating patients to also be accountable for the cost of their care. This means that it's mutually beneficial for both patients and providers to have a standardized and transparent method when it comes to choosing their care. And referrals make up a very large portion of that. So the referral process itself contributes greatly to costs and time and quality of the overall care for a patient. I think the main point here is that everyone in the situation benefits in multiple ways from a referral process that is as smooth as possible. So while we can all agree that the referral process should be transparent, should be standard in most situations, and definitely should be accessible to everyone involved, that is way easier said than done. Today, most referrals are not sent in a standard way. Typically, you have a predetermined group that you can refer to. That receiving provider is getting limited information on their end, if any. The process is not very transparent. You see often providers sending referrals that get lost or forgotten about often because they're sent, but getting updates for that referral requires someone to be responsible for following up in a very manual way. And so hang-ups in the process might not be just discovered in a timely manner. You'll also see patients sometimes taking that administrative burden on themselves and trying to push referrals forward themselves. This can also be manual. There's phone calls involved, faxing, coordinating schedules that you don't have insight to. All of this lack of coordination between providers leads to a variety of problems, right? Broken referral loops, that missing medical information, delays in treatment, and ultimately it affects the quality of a patient's care and it's decreasing health outcomes for the community. So continuing on that thought, here are some of the common things that we hear when talking to the community about barriers with traditional referrals workflows. We'll hear that staff spend a lot of time making phone calls, often playing phone tag with other support staff. We'll hear that the provider they're referring to maybe had limited office hours that they weren't aware of and it didn't work for the patients. And then they had to start from scratch. Maybe there was a holdup in that transfer of clinical information from one practice to another that the referring provider needed to move forward with care. Sometimes the visit was completed, the referral was complete, but the referring provider wasn't aware and the patient is just waiting in limbo for their next steps. All of these contribute to lost or delayed referrals in one way or another. Helplink's referrals management system addresses these barriers in many ways. So we'll go ahead and dive into that. The referrals management system enables a closed loop referral process, and it does so by facilitating secure electronic collaboration between providers and different care settings. So the system is actually accessed through point of care exchange. It's essentially a feature of point of care exchange that can be turned on for providers who want to utilize it. And I'm going to walk through some screenshots that show this tool in action and highlight some of the features that make it helpful in addressing those barriers we just talked about. But I'll forewarn you a little bit. This tool can be difficult to grasp in the 20 minutes we have today because it's viewed through multiple lenses, right? You'll see I'm going to talk about the perspective of sending a referral, but you may also receive referrals, and many practices do both. It's all managed throughout this one system. So as we go through, I'll try my best to make it clear, which perspective to keep in mind as we go through. To start, we're going to play the role of a referral coordinator at a primary care office, referring our patient Maggie to a specialist. So a pretty standard use case, right? A PCP referring out to a specialist. So that's us. So to begin using referrals, whether you're sending or receiving referrals, you start in our point of care exchange by searching your patient. So we'll look up Maggie. And once we've found Maggie in the point of care, we navigate down to the Referrals tab here. This is a really great extension of point of care because you have access to all that other pertinent clinical information all in the same place. Remember, point of care is our portal that houses all of the clinical information that Helplink receives. So once you're in that referrals area, through point of care, you have the option to create a referral for Maggie. So we'll click that. Once you've started the referral, there are 6 quick steps to completing and sending that referral for Maggie. And the referral management tool guides you through those steps in a very user-friendly, quick, standard way. These core 6 steps are the same for every referral that you'll do in the system. And standardizing this process really decreases your risk of making mistakes, and it makes the experience a lot more predictable for staff. So like I said earlier, we do anticipate most settings have like a clinical support staff or referral coordinator completing these instead of the provider directly. Well, the application knows that, it supports that process. And so the first step will be to prompt me as the referral coordinator to let the system know who I'm completing the referral for. So this is where I'll put my name and the PCP that's making that referral. After you tell the system who is referring your patient, you are going to select who you want to send the referral to. So this drop down here will list out all of the providers who are also participating in Helplink's referral tool. So this is an important call out. I think it's important to be transparent about this. Both the referring provider and the receiving provider need to be Helplink members and participating in the referrals management system to support this process. This is all contained within this one portal. So when you come in here to send a referral, the groups that will populate will be other active users of the referral tool. So both parties need to be involved. And once that's the case, it's as easy as just selecting who you want to send the referral to. The next step is to provide reasoning to support the referral. So right now, we request a reason for the referral. You can put comments. You'll select associated ICD-10 codes from a drop-down list. And then you have the opportunity to put authorization info or like an authorization code. Again, very simple. You just fill out the required information. And then after that, you fill out a questionnaire. So this is a unique aspect of the referrals tool because it's provider specific. So we're Maggie's PCP and we're referring Maggie to a specialist. Let's say we selected to refer her to a cardiologist. That cardiologist, who's also a member of referrals, they set up their own specific questionnaire that will appear here when you select their name earlier in the system. So maybe they only accept adult patients with a certain diagnosis. Like, for example, if they're an electrocardiologist, they might use this section to clarify to you that they only work, they work in the cardiology office, but maybe they only see patients with rhythm concerns. They could also clarify maybe days of the week that they take new patients or different insurances they accept. Since this is set up by the provider that is accepting the referral, this section can vary heavily. So when you're making referrals, like we are for Maggie, you can see anything from like a very extensive questionnaire to no questionnaire at all depending on the provider that you're referring to. But it's one of those features of the system that's extremely helpful in adding transparency to the process right from the beginning, right? You're letting the receiving provider know right away whether this patient can be accepted or if there are going to be any barriers in this referral moving forward. After the questionnaire, and we'll touch a little more on the questionnaire further in the presentation, but after the questionnaire for this referral for Maggie, you have the ability to attach any type of document. So there's no limit on the type of document you can upload. We just limit the size of document. And the referral provider, the provider that's receiving this referral, also has the ability to upload forms in this section. So just like they set up the questionnaire specific to their needs, they can also upload forms for you to review as you're referring Maggie. These can be like new patient forms, maybe HIPAA conform forms. Maybe they uploaded like a PDF that has directions to their practice, etc., to this section, so that again, that referring provider knows right away what's needed for that patient to get the care they need without having to call or fax them to find out. This opens up that communication right from the start, and it does so in a central location, so you minimize the risk of forms getting lost in fax or human errors like forgetting to send something. The last step to submitting the referral for Maggie is to review everything that we went through earlier and submit it. So that's really it. You've submitted the referral. But before we end with our demonstration of screenshots here, I want to show you what it looks like to manage referrals after you've submitted them. So as we know, and I reiterated when we began the discussion, referrals really don't end when you submit the referral, right? There's often follow-up needed, maybe additional information is required. That referring provider needs to keep track of how that referral went so they can continue, care on their end as the PCP. Well, our referral tool supports that. This is where the closed loop terminology really comes into play. We allow providers the opportunity to see into the process and even engage with the receiving practice as the process moves forward. So what we're looking at here is the referral worklist. So we've shifted perspective here, right? We've navigated out of Maggie's chart and into a referral specific area of the portal. From here, Maggie's referral that we sent will appear in that left Sent Referrals tab. And we can also look at any referrals received from other providers. There are a lot of really helpful features in this area. The color changes that indicate a status change. So these ones are green, indicating they're new referrals. They change different colors depending on where they are in the process. You can also see the referral worklist icon in the top right. It's that orange kind of box. That's indicating that there have been changes or activity within the referral system, and it kind of prompts you to go in there and look at those changes. This referrals worklist area is very heavily focused on the communication aspect and coordination of care. So from here, you can check on Maggie's referral and see updates. At a glance, you can see if it was accepted or completed here. But these summary boxes for the different referrals let you interact further as well. So you can click into Maggie's referral from that work list, and you can see beyond just those at a glance status updates. One of the key features here is the ability to chat or message on a secure platform between the providers giving care. So we've clicked into Maggie's referral, and now we can directly message the provider that we referred to. You can send additional files here in this chat. You can even access the point of care exchange for additional clinical information. Just click away. This chat feature, it enables providers to engage in the referral process in a simple and secure way, often, again, replacing those phone tag games or faxing that we see traditionally. Just another opportunity to add transparency and ease into the process. All right, so this is my last screenshot here, and it's from the referral work list that we were using to follow up with patients, but we'll switch perspectives a bit one more time to a provider receiving referrals. So again, you very well may be a practice that both sends referrals and receives them. You can do both. It's all done in one system. And one of the main advantages that we highlighted when we were filling out the referral for Maggie was the ability to create like a practice-specific questionnaire to be completed by the providers that are referring to your practice. So this slide shows essentially how that cardiologist set up that questionnaire for their practice. So it's easy to use. It's an easy to create form that provides kind of the best opportunity for your practice to receive all the information required right from the start. Providers have the option to set these as required fields for making a referral to them. And it's an incredibly flexible feature and the types of like answers you can set up. Again, the goal here is to make the referral process transparent and timely, and it's all done within one central system, whether you're receiving or sending referrals or both. Now that we've taken a look at some of the specific ins and outs of the referral management system, let's take a look at the bigger picture of what the system is accomplishing. So the referral process with our tool, first and foremost, is patient-centric. The provider is first given the opportunity to provide all the needed documentation up front on a secure platform, and they're given transparent insight into what that required information is from the receiving provider. Providers can use this information to determine the most appropriate care setting for their patients without having to call back and forth or losing time that's often lost to a traditional process. The closed loop part really comes in more when providers can then engage with the process. They can follow up with the referrals they sent and communicate about their shared patients with providers that are outside of their organization within this system. Both parties are kept connected through the entire process, which takes the burden off the patients. And mostly this communication supports timely care. It reduces mistakes or referrals that are sent to inappropriate settings. And it enables a more transparent continuum of care. So continuing off that last thought of kind of value added by the system, I just wanted to highlight a few clear kind of value adds that organizations have found when embracing referral management system into their workflows. I think first is the most obvious that we touched on today. It eliminates those manual processes that traditional workflows struggle with. That work list we looked at after submitting the referral for Maggie shows how organizations can improve collaboration and engagement throughout the whole referral process. Specifically, we looked at the chat and the status change features that can eliminate that kind of out of sight, out of mind challenge that leads to losing referrals. Another benefit to highlight is the ability to improve patient retention by encouraging utilization of providers that are in network, right? Increasing that in-network communication and utilization. This aligns really well with goals in minimizing referral leakage or network leakage by giving providers insight into where referrals stand so they can push them forward before patients are incentivized to go out of network for the same care. Lastly, having an electronic system as opposed to a manual system also offers you the opportunity to do like reporting in a more accurate and easy way. This can give you insight into your network utilization or referral performance across your practice. Okay, so we covered a lot here. We talked about common barriers in the traditional referral process. We showed what our closed loop referral management system looks like on a secure platform, how it functions to allow providers to communicate throughout the whole process, and then how it specifically addresses those barriers that we initially called out. And then after looking at all of those individual features, we took a step back to look at how all of that functionality adds kind of a high level value in several different ways. So that wraps up our referral discussion for today. But before you go, I do want to give you a preview of the webinars that will be coming up in the next few months. We're doing these on a monthly cadence. So in July, you can expect one about our electronic orders and results capability. And in August, we'll meet about our brand new population health analytics tool. This will be a really exciting milestone for us, so we hope to see you there. Additionally, all of our past recorded webinars, like Lance mentioned, are on our website, sthealthlink.org, and you can view those on demand and this one as well. And as my final slide today, I've just dropped our contact information. We'd love to have a conversation with you about referrals management or any of the other interoperability tools I mentioned today. So please feel free to reach out at any time. Thank you all so much for your time today, and we'll see you again next month.